Alright, so today I'm finally going to be sharing my entire G-Shock collection with you, and it's fair to say this video has been a long time coming. While I've featured a load of models in news or review videos, I've never actually shared my personal collection with you, so that's about to change. If you want it to, of course. Hopefully you'll stick around. I also thought right now would be a good time to introduce myself, so yeah, hello. I'm Andrew and this is Time Drops. I first started this channel back in 2020, and while we feature all kinds of watches, it's fair to say we take a very heavy lean towards G-Shocks, and that's because they were my first watch love. Back in my teenage years I was massively into hip hop, still am to be fair, and these were on the wrists of every single popular artist back then, so I just had to get involved. And well, that's where the problem began really, and here we are now. This is what it looks like when you're stuck in between that I have way too many watches and you can never have enough G-Shock sort of vibe. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Kicking off with the one that's on my wrist right now, this is the 30th anniversary Frogman. I never owned a Frogman until this one, and it's become quite apparent that I was missing out big time. Really liking the updated design on this one as well. It's feature packed yet minimal and easy to read all at the same time. There's a few cool options out there, but I loved the black and gold colorway of this one in particular. This is one I find myself wearing a lot. The fitness-focused GBD H2000. Oh, by the way, you're going to see a load of different times and dates shown across these watches. If that bothers you, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to put that to the side and let it slide. Trust me, it hurts me too. Anyway, this has loads to offer. More of a hybrid fitness tracker than a smartwatch, but offers a load of functionality to stay on top of your daily activities, etc. And while it is great for all that, this one also just looks very good by itself, especially with that MIP display. Speaking of looking good, next is the latest from the Mudmaster line. What an absolute beast this is. Again, feature packed of course, thanks mostly to its triple sensor technology that includes a compass, altimeter, barometer and thermometer. Not to mention the addition of Bluetooth to open up even more features. I mentioned in my review how I feel they got everything right with this one. It's still so rugged yet so refined at the same time, and the dark red on the band and rose gold on the bezel complement this even more. Next up is my Polar Bear Rangeman. This was G-Shock's Love the Sea in the Earth collab from 2022 and therefore a Japan exclusive, but thanks to my mates over at Bai, I was able to get one. The GW9400 is another one stacked with features and pound for pound probably one of the best G-Shock models you can buy, but it's the colorway of this one that did it for me. I love the off-white and blue combination throughout, especially on the underside of its strap. This is right up there as one of my favourites. Next up is the latest Mudman. Again, cool colorway and one very fitting for this kind of watch. Released last year, this was also the first G-Shock to feature a duplex LCD display. However, while I love a negative display, the negative displays of these GW9500s are the most negative of negative displays I've ever seen. This is one I'll look to move on shortly, I think. Once again, a negative display done right, with some more MIP. This is the GBX100 from the G-Lite family, geared towards surfers with their tide graphs and some rise and set time telling capabilities. Such a great all-rounder this one, love the popping contrast of its black and white colorway too. Onto something a bit different and one you won't have seen on the channel. This is a GA120 and one that is very much ready to be bashed about at any given moment. Just a G-Shock fully G-Shocking. In fact, I gave all of these a quick spruce before shooting but felt that this one should remain as is. It just didn't feel right to see it clean. Now for the absolute polar opposite, an obnoxiously gold GA110. This was one I picked up many years ago and enjoyed wearing it at the time. Now, however, let's just say this will have likely moved on before the next collection update. One that isn't on the chopping board is the black eye patch GA900. BEP are a Japanese streetwear brand that I knew nothing about before this drop, but that colorway just spoke to me. Similar to many of the others we've shown so far, big old dimensions on this one, but deserves as much time on the wrist as POS. Sadly, this is one I don't wear enough. The GA-B001, a top release from 2022. This joined in the success of previous slimline analog digital models but offered something entirely different by having its strap and bezel morphed into one and meeting at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions. Wicked watch. And the very same goes for this wavy marble GA2000. If you've been here from the very start, you'll know this is one that featured in one of our very first videos. Also love the colorway on this one, especially the mixed color resin of its strap, making each one effectively one of a kind. Very versatile and just very good. Now for a load of 6900s, my favourite silhouette from the G-Shock catalogue, which will very soon become quite obvious. kicking off with a few GDXs. We don't really see these too much anymore. For those of you that don't know, these are essentially just bigger versions of the original DW6900, and I've got 4 of them. We've got 2 in the same camo design in green and grey colourways. I originally picked up the green, loved it so much so picked up the grey very soon after. I also have this white one from the Heathered series, and then my favourite of the GDXs, this one from the Polarised Marble series. This is actually one of my favourites from the entire collection, for 2 reasons. Firstly, it just looks wicked and has this awesome flick between blue and purple when the light hits, and secondly, I'm very much someone who appreciates these watches capturing a moment in time, and I remember vividly picking this one up from a Zoomy store in Florida back in 2015. That was such an awesome trip, and this one takes me back to that time every time I put it on, one that will most certainly never leave my collection. This one might be a bit more recognisable, the white Hodinkee and John Mayer DW6900. This was the second in their trio of watches, and reminds me of the white Bape 6900 from back in the day, the very first G-Shock I ever owned in fact. Love the off-white tone of this watch and how it reflects Casio keyboards, with clean pops of colour accentuating it perfectly, with the LCD display giving it that extra nostalgic touch. Then they released this blue one, and I liked it even more. Again, the inspiration of Casio keyboards from Mayer's childhood made for yet another awesome colourway. Absolutely love this watch, and the trio overall. Haven't yet got the grey one, but keeping my eye out for a good price. Hodinkee and Mayer then looked elsewhere and teamed up with Ed Sheeran to produce this yellow 6900 inspired by his album Subtract. Very much a statement piece. This release had a lot of mixed reviews, but personally I'm a fan and we'll get this out more as we head into our 1 week of summer in the UK. Next up is a collab that's hype almost rivaled the Moon Swatch in 2022, the G-Shock and Bamford DW6900. People were queuing by the hundreds in the blazing heat to get their hands on one of these on release day. This was in that week of summer I just mentioned, but I actually managed to scoop 2 of these online to my surprise and gave one away to you guys. Love this watch. Again, awesome colorway with those pops of triple blue doing everything right. Roll on the pair's next one. Another heavy hitting collab was this one with Undefeated. A brown watch is something we don't see often enough in my opinion, and while you think yellow and blue wouldn't go well with that on paper, for me this just works. Such a cool piece and one of my favourite releases from last year. Absolute banger of a collab. Back to the wavy vibes with this next one, and what a colour this is. Very much Tiffany vibes. Intending to reflect the ocean from above, this also features that same moulded resin technique I mentioned earlier, and is very much ready for summer. Only worn it a handful of times, but love it every time I do. Next up is another big hitting collab from last year, the 6900 from G-Shock and Coca-Cola. I've always found the vintage Coca-Cola stuff pretty cool and love how they've captured everything here. The green glass bottle on its case and strap, the white dial with a red written logo, and even a Coca-Cola bottle in its back light. Very sweet. And the watch is cool. Just like these next 2, a monster of a triple collab between G-Shock, North Face and Supreme. These haven't actually ever featured on the channel, but I picked these up just after they released. I couldn't decide between the yellow or black at the time, so I thought I'd get both in and send one back. And it turns out I'm not very good at doing that. This is a very strong collab between 3 brands I'm a big fan of, with, of course, the most notable thing being their Velcro straps. They certainly look cool once they're on, but yeah, they are difficult to get used to and not exactly a watch you can just grab and go with. Nevertheless, awesome release. Now for a couple of 6600s, with the first being a regular in my rotation. This Remaster Black Series watch released as part of G-Shock's 40th anniversary last year and has been a big hit with my wrist ever since. Love that blackout colorway with gold accents, then that big and bold positive display just makes everything easy while I'm on the move. G-Shock then soon followed up with this Commodore-esque PC-5, which I picked up straight away. I keep saying it, but I'm a huge fan of this colorway too, as I wear a lot of similar colors myself. Then that pop of green on the dial and red on the light button just brings in the fun. Such a cool piece. Okay, that's enough. Back to 6900s. This time in metal. I'm obviously a big fan of the model, and when this released, I just had to have it. I even wore this on my wedding day, which says all you need to know really. The Bape GM 6900. This released last year as part of Bape's 30th anniversary, and again, huge nostalgia here. Really digging the black on black Bape pattern throughout the case, and the additional camo strap makes it even more versatile. I've worn this a lot and will continue to do so. Another banger of a collab was this one from 2021. Renowned for his awesome engraving work, seriously you should go and check him out. This model is in collaboration with British artist Johnny Dowell aka King Nerd, and features a very cool ornate pattern across the strap to complement its bright gold case. This drop was limited to just 300 pieces, and I'm very pleased to say I've got one of them. the GM 5600 from the Midnight Fog series. This bluish purple half metal square really is a beaut, incredibly comfortable and once again incredibly versatile. The square is obviously iconic when it comes to the brand, and the added metal on this one just adds that little bit extra. Time for some full metal now, kicking off with the AWM 500. This is one I wouldn't ordinarily go for aesthetically, but have been pleasantly surprised since owning it. That being said, as you can see, it rarely sees the light of day, so we'll probably be heading out soon. The rose gold full metal square. What a watch this is. It's so ridiculous yet so great at the same time. I feel like the full metal square is so respected that it doesn't even matter what colour you go for. So I went for rose gold and I absolutely love it. The GST B400, the best from the G Steel family in my opinion. There's a load of strong colourways for this model, but this with the popping green bezel is right up there for me. Talk about bang for your buck as well. Okay, it's Casio time, kicking off with the dailiest of all dailies. This grey Casio is one of their earlier releases from the Earth Tone series and has been all over the world with me. Unbelievable watch. Perfect for when you're chilling, hitting the gym or dressing up to go out. There's a load of Casios, but I found this colourway to be the most versatile. How many times am I going to say that? Anyway, this is the one in my collection that's got the most miles on it for sure. Although this cream and black one should have more. Another fantastic looking watch that needs a lot more airtime. Will do better. Adding in some steel now, next is the mini metal Casio, one with smaller dimensions for smaller wrists. Not that my wrists are huge, but this is one my wife wears a lot more than I do. One thing I will say is what an awesome colourway, but seriously, that stealth is so good, right? Oof, the green half metal Casio. Such a great watch and a big one for the channel. This was one of the first videos that really took off and got us over that 1000 subs hurdle, so sentimental value here guys. Comfortable, mean yet luxury looking, durable and functional. The GM 2100 is no doubt one of the best G-Shocks you can buy. That sounded very much like an advert, it wasn't meant to, but yeah, they are very good. Next up is this blue beauty. One of the first 40th anniversary releases from last year was this one from the Adventurers Gem series. I really like it, but I specifically recall seeing a comment saying it looked like the dog had chewed it and it lives in my head rent free. Well played internet. The Octo, a blackout GM 2100 with an incredible hand painted dial. This wicked underwater wonder was sent in from the team over at IFL Watches and yeah, wow. The attention to detail on this is mad, proper head turner. I've also got a bunch of Casios that I've modified, including a white mini Casio, a Midnight Fog series GM 2100, my yellow GAB 2100, the skeleton Casio and the OG GA 2100-1A. The possibilities with these models are endless, and shout out to SKX Mod for these kits. Now then, the full metal Casio. This one is special. It was a watch we were all waiting for ever since the GA 2100 dropped, and then in 2022, after 3 long years, it finally arrived. So I made a little video on it and then somehow it recently passed over 1 million views, which has been huge for the channel overall. So extra special for me, and thank you, you absolute legends. Now, you may have noticed this watch roll at the start. Well, it contains my most expensive Gs, 3 MTGs. First up is the MTG Aurora Oval. This watch dropped just last year and is evidently themed around the Northern Lights, hence all the colours. Rainbow IP and recrystallization are used to create this marvel, and it's safe to say there's no going under the radar with this one. Always wanted a B3000, but didn't expect this one to be my first. It's very cool to look at, but don't find myself wearing it a whole lot to be fair, so maybe time to move on. One that absolutely won't be moving on anytime soon is this Python-inspired MTG B1000. I've wanted this one for a long time and recently got the chance to pick it up for an absolute steal. This was another Love the Sea and the Earth collab that I was immediately hooked on. I'd never seen anything quite like it, but that's probably because it's a snakeskin patterned watch to be fair. An absolute beast in terms of functionality, as all MTGs are, and the rose gold accents just top everything off perfectly. Right then, last but by absolutely no means least, my Grail G-Shock, the one I wanted more than any other, and recently I was lucky enough to finally pick this up and have been marvelling at it ever since. This is the MTG Blue Phoenix, just wow. Again, featuring some rainbow IP, but I think it's fair to say a lot more understated and some would say a lot more tasteful than the Aurora Oval. I love everything about this watch, from its blue and orange flashed across its bezel to its popping pink accents, all sat prominently on its dark rubber strap. Fantastic stuff. Okay, we are done. That just about wraps everything up. So there you go, my full G-Shock collection as of right now in 2024. As I say, I'll be looking to chop and change a few of them, plus give some away to you guys. We do that quite a lot, to be fair. If you haven't already, make sure you sign up to the Time Drops newsletter via the link in the description below, where I personally send out an email each week giving you the latest news in the watch world, the latest Time Drops content, a sneak peek of upcoming content, plus gain access to giveaways that are often G-Shocks. So make sure you follow that link, enter your email and subscribe, and I'll see you there. I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Let me know which one's your favorite from my collection and which one I should add next. As always, thanks so much again for your awesome support, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.